Good morning, dear friends. Today is day 2 of trying to recover, not exercising. And you know, thinking about the proverb of Samson and how he succeeded in getting from the evil, from the hard, to get something sweet, to quote his, what was it? It was the riddle that he had. It was from the eater, something to eat; from this strong, something sweet. I was trying to analyze as I was laying in bed. I also heard my son, my 8-year-old son, coughing. What is really going on? Why are we coughing? And I was trying to have some muscle cramps, and I was trying to analyze also why I was getting the muscle cramps. And so I realized that because I was drinking a lot of fluids, I was washing off some of the important electrolytes. And the important electrolytes that are specifically responsible for keeping the electrolyte and electrical balance in the cell are sodium and potassium. Others also important are calcium, magnesium, and I realized that I wasn't getting any of them. And so I came up with the idea to, you know, if I cannot go out to run with Russ, as the saying goes, if Muhammad can come to the mountain, then the mountain will come to Muhammad. So I guess I will be Mr. M, and Ross will be the other Mr. M, and together we will be M&M. So I have invited Ross to come here with me. So he's joining here with me. Yes, come a little closer, come a little closer. So we're going to, yes, so we're going to share with you here the importance of how you can use some non-traditional medicine to fight the cold, the viruses, and why really it settles in our lungs, leading to what we know as cold. So if you remember some of our other dedications, there was this theory of miasma, which is basically that the air comes and the air has infection in it, which is why, if you remember the clothes from the time of the Black Plague, they had this big kind of nose that they stuffed stuff inside of it to protect it from all the infections they thought were coming in the air. Well, in 1860 to 64, we know about Louis Pasteur in France. He discovered the germ theory. And we just talked about the president who died, James Garfield, who died because the doctors were laughing about that. Now, you know, it's interesting that if you look at most of the inventions that are reported, they're either in Germany or in France and a few in England. And you think to yourself, what, the rest of the world didn't come up with that? And the answer is probably that it wasn't published in the literature that we know of. But you know what? In China, in India, I mean, think about the first inoculation for the smallpox. That was done ages in Turkey before it came to England, before they started doing the cowpox vaccine. So if we want to get the best of all worlds, we need to actually get exposed to other forms of therapies. And so let's start from the beginning. So one of the things that is important for us to have is it's important for us to have a very good balanced diet when we are growing, and the same thing when we're sick, because we need a lot of energy, a lot of nutrients. And one of the things that impressed me about Tastyganics is looking at their ingredients. They have all the necessary ingredients and all natural things in order to make sure that if we are growing, and obviously as our cells grow, divide, and expand, we need more of that control. We will have that. I mean, the kid cannot tell you, oh, my muscle is cramping. The baby's gonna cry, you know? Now, I was laying in bed and I felt the cramping, like, okay, what's going on? All right. I'm washing out my sodium. So basically what happens is you have a cell, and the cell has a sodium inside of it. Its concentration, because there is a barrier for the sodium not to come out, its concentration inside pulls water in. Now, if you have a lot of water outside without electrolytes, what will happen is the sodium high concentration here will pull the water inside and the cell will start expanding. So what the body does instead, to avoid, blowing up like a balloon and exploding, like one of those horror movies, it pushes the sodium out of the cell. Now, if you have the sodium out of the cell, the water will be able to come out. But the problem is then you don't have the electrolytes necessary for the electrical impulse, and then you kind of wash it out of the kidney. So it's important for us to make sure that we have a balanced diet, and Tasty Organics actually successfully does that. So I'm pretty impressed with them, looking at their ingredients and how they're being made. What I want also to take the opportunity to talk to you is I don't know if it was ever discovered how, people say, oh, in the cold you catch a cold in the cold. Well, I mean, like, what is it in the cold that you catch a cold? Why? Why can't you go out in the cold? And what I realized is, if we look at one of the Russian proverbs that says "Ticham kolodce cherti vodce," is that how it says, something like that?
Exactly what it is, yeah.
Okay, so which translating it would mean in quiet water
the devil dwells.
The devil, you're right. Cherti, it's like devils, right? But plural, are dwelling there. So what happens is, if you think of any standing water, it increases the chance of bacteria happening there when it's in the open. What happens with our lungs is, when it's very cold air, we tend to be in pain if we take a very deep breath. Also, what happens is the airways, the muscles cramp a little bit, so the amount of air entering becomes less. And so if the lung, you think of the lungs as grapes, a tree with grapes. So as you go out to the sides, they call the alveoli, if you don't get the air inside, then it collapses, called atelectasis. The little walls close down, and then they collect fluid inside there. So doing another homology, another example is, talking about again the Black Plague, when the Jews were becoming less sick with the Black Plague, the Gentiles were saying, they are probably causing us and they're poisoning our wells. In fact, this was not the case. They were simply going to the mikveh, the ritual baths that the Jews do at least once a week. What happens there is the mikveh also has running water. It's rainwater goes in and the water has to come out. So really, infection doesn't stay in there unless it's being brought, by humans into the mikveh. And the same thing happens in our lungs. It's very important that we will utilize the breathing exercises that are taught by the yoga. The same exercises are practiced by the singers, and the same exercises practiced by martial artists. And I'll show it to you how I remember it. I had the opportunity to study with some yoga experts. It was a while back, but I'll share with you what I still remember. And please, the yoga experts, forgive me for not showing it properly. And by pushing the air into the area, you imagine yourself as if you're washing with water the dirt from your plates. So you're removing all the bacteria out, and you're allowing them to expand, and you're pushing the water that collects there out. So you're constantly making sure that there is a circulation of air there, because if you don't circulate the air, and if you don't move the bacteria out of the system, you will increase the risk of when the bacteria, because remember, bacteria is everywhere. We can't avoid them. Those viruses are everywhere. So if you have a significant amount of the virus exposure in your system, to each person, the amount of virus will vary, just like the amount of hand washing to different susceptible people will be necessary in order to cause cracking and drying of the hands. The same thing will go with the viruses. When we're a little weaker, when we're stressed, we don't sleep, we say we're more likely to get infected. It's the same kind of idea with that. So going back to the breathing exercise, I will try to show it to you now. And don't worry, this is not this kind of a video. I'm just going to show you the method of how one should breathe. So, putting your hands on, Rossi, correct me if I'm wrong. Ross is also an expert, and he's also a martial arts expert. But the idea is, kind of like Bruce Lee, when he was combining all the different martial arts forms into his form, and people were asking him, you know, what's the name? What's the name of your martial arts? And he's like, it doesn't have a name. You know, it's not supposed to have. He was really resistant to give it a name. And does this remind you guys of something in the Bible? Yes, whoever got it. It reminds us of when Moses speaks to God. And he asks, but what will I tell him? Who sent me? And he says to him, I have no name. Just, you know, just say, he sent me, you know. He who, you know, he'll ask me for a name. And then eventually you can say the God of Abraham, of Isaac and Jacob. So the same thing over here. You don't care who really came up with the idea. You don't want to be fixed to one specific thing. You need to combine from Western medicine, from Eastern medicine. You want to combine it all to give the best results. So here we go. On the count of each one will be 10. You breathe. As you breathe in, you push the diaphragm down. The lungs will therefore expand and the belly will extend out. So you take a breath like that. First 5 seconds or 5 counts, the belly will come out. Comes out. I'm trying to spread it out. And the other 3, your lungs will open up more. And the last 2, you use your clavicle, your extra muscles up there to expand the lungs even more. And then you hold it till till 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you exhale in the way that backwards. So you go down here, and then the stomach goes back in. So you want to do about 10 of those, and you want to do it about 5 times a day. And what that will do for you is it will clean your lungs. Now, if you watch the yoga, they also do the same idea, but forcefully with the nose. Very important. Now, I don't have a clogged nose. I just have the issue with the lungs. Again, reviewing how I most likely got the disease. I mean, I'm exposed always to bacteria. My kid's sick, my patients are sick, and I didn't get it. But when I was running with you, Ross, last time, the air was cold and I was listening to the voice of my wife telling me, you know what, the reason you're sick, it's so cold, you should stay home, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I have a way that I'm not going to get so cold. I'm not going to take very deep breaths. I swear, as we were running, I was taking shallower breaths. You know, and then as I walked back, we really ran fast, so our heart rate was around 180, right? Something like that. And so I was tired, and then I walked back home. As I was walking back home, you know, all sweaty, all that stuff, again, my breaths were being shallow. I was not exercising like, you know, after they run, they said, take deep breaths. I was not doing that stuff. So again, I allowed the alveoli to be closed. I allowed water, fluid to collect there. Kind of like if you say that you collect water in your legs when you sit too long, you know, because they're down, you know. The same thing will happen over here. They're closed, there's fluid coming into that area. And in that fluid, or the area where there is low turnover of air, the bacteria settle there, they attach, and nothing is there to move them out, and they start reproducing. And they get to the level at which point they will cause you to have the infection. So let's go again to the breathing exercise and summarize everything we were saying. So to prevent getting sick, to prevent cramping, the key is not going outside and being afraid of the cold. It's the miasma theory has been disproven, okay? The idea is you need to make sure that you don't let any part of your body not be alive. All right? So you have to make sure that the air circulates through every part of your lungs and your airways, nose as well, so you don't get sinus infections. But we're just going to concentrate on the lungs right now. So let's take the deep breath. Okay, so we exhale all the way and then inhale. Then you hold and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you start exhaling, going down. 3, 4, 5, and here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and you hold it. And then inhale. then you do it like that again and again. Now there are other exercises where you just do and that's also very important, but you have to make sure that you take the breath deep enough so that air forcing will constantly wash off your lungs. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I will see you guys tomorrow. Russ, thank you very much for coming and being the M&M with me. Thank you.